Manchester United's LIsandro Martinez suffered a right knee injury during today's match against West Ham, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at what exactly I think might have happened and how severe this could be. Welcome back everybody, I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and my goal in this channel is to help teach you about the medical side of the sports world. So if you enjoy sports and you enjoy learning about anatomy, then please consider subscribing to help support the channel. Let's go right to the play here where this occurred. Now, of course, we're dealing with a right knee injury, and I want you to think about the impacts, the forces that come into Martinez's right knee, and then how that's going to affect the underlying structures. So of course, the load is coming in from the outside of Martinez's knee. So what this is going to do when the West Ham player falls down towards the side here, it's going to impart this valgus directed stress. So it's going to push the knee inward, and as it pushes the knee inward, that's going to put some tension on the structures that sit on the inside part of the knee. So here, before this occurs, Martinez's knee is nice and straight. There's no load coming in from the side, but then as that load comes in from the side, it's going to want to push that knee inward with what we call this valgus directed force. So here's the West Ham player comes in. We can see a little bit of that contact, and then ultimately a little bit of load as that knee bends inward from Martinez. Now we see a little bit of maybe eversion stress down here at the ankle, but this is going to be a contact forced valgus load onto Martinez's right lower extremity. Looking at it here from a different view, of course, again, same thing. We have a nice unloaded right lower extremity. The West Ham player comes in, lands on the outside, pushes the knee inward, this valgus load, which is going to potentially stress those structures that sit here on the inner or medial portion of Martinez's knee. Now, the injury that I'm most concerned about here would be an MCL sprain. And I'll be honest, I don't have super high concern that this is a big major season-ending injury for a couple of reasons. You know, the big thing everybody's going to think about when they see this is an ACL. But there's really, number one, we don't observe any of that shift in the tibia when the ACL can get torn, which you don't always see that, so that doesn't necessarily rule it out. But despite how much force it looks like is on his knee right in this location, unless the injury occurred more because of the plant and the stop, I don't think that simply the West Ham player landing on Martinez's right knee is going to cause an injury. If we back this up a little bit and say, well, could something have happened on the step when he planted? So right here before the contact in that position, again, we don't see any sort of shift in the tibia with that plant. We don't see any recoil backwards of the calf. And so I'd be surprised if this ends up being something like an ACL. The MCL is the ligament that runs right here on the inside portion of the knee, and typically it gets injured when we have these forced valgus loads. So when a player, an opponent, lands on the outside of your knee, pushes it inward, that's very classic for an MCL sprain. Now this could have been a heck of a lot worse. If we look at this side view, we see how there really wasn't all that much force that was put through Martinez's knee. So number one, the West Ham player coming down, yes, there's contact right here. That's going to push it in a little bit. But Martinez's right foot is not anchored on the ground. And so his right foot is able to give and absorb some of that impact as it slides across the pitch. Furthermore, as this continues through, we see the West Ham player's elbow lands on the ground to absorb a lot of that load. And at this position, he never actually looks like he falls entirely on Martinez's lower leg. And this is where it could have been a lot worse. Here in this position, if he had not had the wherewithal to land on his elbow and try and protect himself, all of his body weight falls into Martinez's lower leg, putting even more stress on the inside of the knee, potentially leading to a worse injury. So this actually could have been, I think, a heck of a lot worse if number 5 here had not tried to catch himself, brace his fall with his left elbow, because you can see how then there's really not that much additional force that goes into Martinez's knee. Also, when we can see some give down at the ankle where the foot's sliding, that also means there's going to be less force going through the knee itself. When we talk about severity of these injuries, of course, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. A grade 1 is going to be just a little bit of a stretch or a partial tear in that ligament. Grade 2 is going to be more of a significant partial tear, and then a grade 3 is going to be a complete tear. If somebody has a grade 1, just a stretch of the MCL, that's probably going to be on the order of maybe 1 to 3 weeks absence. If you have more of a grade 2, meaning there's a partial tear in those ligament fibers, then you're talking more on the order of maybe 2 to 5, 6 weeks. A grade 3 can certainly be a 1 to 2 month injury. And so yes, this could be significant in the sense of missing 1 to 2 months if it ends up being a grade 3. But again, nothing about this, just looking at the replay, makes me think of something surgical like an ACL. Replays aren't perfect though, and so if anybody's new here, just because I typically don't do a lot of football on this channel and you're watching, remember, just because we don't see it on the replay doesn't mean it's not necessarily possible. Just reviewing it, I don't see anything clearly suggestive of an ACL. I would say MCL, probably more in the order of grade 1 to grade 2. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.